Hello everyone, it's the Rob and Mo Show, two grumpy old gits who know their shit, and we are here in conjunction with Saley. You look to me like you didn't like the
You're as old
grumpy.
as you feel, Mo. You're as old as you feel.
Come on, man.
We're neither grumpy nor old. If you say you're grumpy and old, you'll become grumpy and old.
Well, I know you and I know me, and I know that we are grumpy and old.
All right, let's avoid the facts here. It's clear to avoid the facts and just and think young and beautiful.
All right, okay. I mean,
and chatty, not grumpy. Chatty.
This show does try to deal in realism for the most part, but apparently we're just going to check out
delusional.
Yeah, we'll stick delusional for a while. Anyway, as I was saying, this show is still in association with Saley, the eSIM app from NordVPN.
Of choice
Of NordVPN and of choice of everyone here. You were just asking me before the show exactly how it's going to work when you're off in your Portugal hideaway.
I've got to watch Palace away. Place how you always end up has shit Wi-Fi. And I'm wondering, will a Saley SIM mode make it be better than shit Wi-Fi?
I think your Saley SIM
I'll tell you what, then I'm going to buy one.
Yes.
And how easy is it to do? These are genuine questions that Saley will really want me to pose.
It's very easy to do. All you need to do is...
It's an eSIM, isn't it? So you don't need a thing.
Yeah.
I'm being too technical here, I know, for some people. But
yeah, a thing is very much too technical. All you need to do is, even when you rewatch the show later to look about how wonderful we are, just scan the QR code that comes up or go on to the Saley app if you download the app.
If I go on that, I might see the comments, and I like to see comments.
Well, you could do one without the other. Come on, man.
Complex this. I'm just tea.
See,
I'm getting old.
I was going to say, this is why I said we're old. Anyway, if you do want to join the Saley team, all you have to do is go onto the Saley app or scan that QR code, put in TAW, and you get a 15% discount.
I'm so there.
Yes. And then we will find out later on in a few weeks' time exactly how Rob got on with his Saley experience over in Portugal.
Palace abroad,
yes. Hopefully Liverpool had a win against Palace as well. Liverpool had a win at the weekend. It came without the man that we always talk about, and genuinely I was not going to talk about him, but you came in bounding, happy to say, can we talk about Alexander Isak? And you know what? I guess we can, because tomorrow is Champions League day. I'm going to be going down to opening training in a couple of hours, and I expect to see him there, and I expect to see all of the cameras trained upon him. But we didn't see him at the weekend, and when Arne Slot explained why, he offered up some rather interesting words, didn't he?
Firstly, my world collapsed when I saw that t-shirt. I was in the ground, I think, by that stage at Burnley. Front row getting rained on. It was grim.
Yeah. And
to then have the no Isak news delivered was a kick in the pants. I wanted questions asked about Arne's tenureship and remaining at the club at that stage. I saw no reason for it. But no, obviously, hearing his wise words later, it was interesting how he viewed it, that he thought apparently they'd given him a really big tough training session on the Saturday, and I suppose he'd only really got back Wednesday, Thursday from international break. So, and they do have to actually train the boy for him to be able to play football matches. So they wanted a proper recovery day. But what Arne said was, we want to give him 45 minutes plus, and it'll come. He almost guaranteed it against Athletic or Everton, but he implied, and this was the crucial bit, not both.
Yes.
So it seems to me that he's treating it almost, the introduction of Isak, as almost literally like a pre-season. It's not the same as bringing back an injured player.
No.
If you bring back an injured player, like say Frimpong, we brought on for 25 minutes. And he's had an injury, it's kept him out for 4 or 5 weeks. Frimpong probably doesn't start, but he probably gets another 15, 25 minutes, and so on until he plays. But in a pre-season, you don't play every 3 days. You build up very, very gradually. You train for a week, you have 45 minutes against Preston away reserves, then 6 days later you may play another side and get another 45. But what you don't play, so for example, if he plays, what were we saying? Say he gets half an hour 45 against Atletico. Everton only comes Saturday 12:30.
Yes, very close.
He's still in, I think, what Arne's implying, in recovery mode. You don't see sight nor sound of him against Everton. But of course, he could go the other way and go, let's keep working on the training pitch. It's Everton who he'll play against, albeit part of the second half. And so he might go at 7-day breaks. So he might go Everton, 7 days later Palace, 7 days later Chelsea.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because obviously the fact that there are these 2 more international breaks coming, so there are a couple of natural stoppages, and Liverpool are going to have to rely on Sweden and John Dahl Tomasson to kind of buy into their plan.
John Dahl Tomasson, sorry to interrupt, will, I think, be banking on the next break, starting Alexander Isak in both games, and Liverpool will know this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean. So Liverpool have to take that into consideration, that even if they are going to have a slowly approach, they will need to have almost got to the end of that slowly approach by the time Sweden comes round. Otherwise, it's going to completely mess it up. But I'm fascinated by the idea of how he picks who he thinks Isak should play against. Because you said there is a real choice between Atletico and Everton. Because taking your point of it being like pre-season, the one thing pre-season does is it's all about training. It's not really about the games. And as Slot said after the game against Burnley, when he plays, he can't train. So it's in either or, and he's going to prioritise the training side. But then you look at the opponents, you think about the kind of games it is. You remember, this is Alexander Isak who played in La Liga, so he'll know Simeone and he'll know Atletico Madrid. And yes, it's a different team, but I mean, Simeone's Simeone. So it's not going to be that different. Whereas obviously Everton, the white hot heat of a Merseyside derby, even if it is going to be a Saturday lunchtime snooze fest, sorry lads. Which one would you be putting him in?
It's difficult because obviously I'm anxious as everyone is to see him play. So the thought of seeing him play tomorrow really suits my impatience. But if I'm being objective about it, the Premier League, the 3 points against Everton are more important than the 3 points against Atletico Madrid tomorrow night. I would argue. I just think there's less margin for error at this stage in the Premier League, whereas, you know, you want to stay top of the bloody Premier League, whereas you don't need to be top, as we found out.
No.
Still need points on the board, so I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying we don't need points. I'm not saying a win against Atletico wouldn't be big. And I actually think the team could do with a bit of a statementy win, even if it's a narrow one against. But Atletico is a big challenge. They could do with a statementy win, which seems greedy after 4 wins on the bounce. But to answer your question, I'd just be tempted to see him for the last 35 against Everton, you know? I know your feelings are that there's risk in that.
Yeah, I would go the other way. I would play him for Atletico because I take your point about the fact that there's more time in the Champions League, but I do think it's important to get off to a good win. Big game at home, particularly when you've got 2 away games straight after that. Tough places in Galatasaray and a flying Frankfurt at the moment. So getting off to a good start.
But would you take a win against Atletico, draw against Everton?
I would want to...
Not take. I mean, but if there was a trade-off, which way round would you have it?
I'm not trading. I want to win them both, Rob.
Okay,
and I think
right.
and the other thing we have to remember, Arne Slot doesn't have Chiesa for the Champions League. He has Chiesa for Everton. So he has an extra weapon to throw in against Everton that he doesn't have against Atletico. So I would be more inclined to see Isak play against Atletico, even if it's only half of the game.
Who are you starting Rio and Gamora against? Because I'm starting him in one of these.
I might actually start him against... No, I was going to say I might start him against Everton, but I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of game that Cody Gakpo might do well in. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure I am starting him in either of these two, to be honest, but I'm giving him a large amount of minutes. I think if you ask me when would Rio get his first start, I feel like Palace is a really good shout because...
You can make a case... The interesting thing is that we've used him twice now in fairly desperate situations, haven't we? And the boys stood up. So it's almost like you can't see any challenges being too much, really. I know starting a game is different to coming on against tired legs. There is that element. So I don't see him starting anytime soon.
Well, there is the Southampton game we have to remember.
Yeah, well, apart from that one, yeah, that's very true.
That probably will be his first start of the season. But whether that... to be able to go the Tuesday and then the Saturday, I don't think would be an issue if they wanted to. So, yeah, I would expect him to be involved in both games, possibly quite heavily involved in both games. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of common sense of thinking, as a young kid, asking him to make his first start against Merseyside derby is a big ask. But then asking him to come off the bench at St James's Park where we needed the win was a big ask. And look what he did there. So maybe the rules that and the parameters we're putting in front of him don't actually matter anymore.
There's a big part of me that would start him against Atletico Madrid. I've become frustrated. Both our wingers are not really firing at the moment, and both aren't giving us much pace down the sides. But one of them's Mohamed Salah, so you bear with him endlessly. Cody's not floating my boat at the moment. I would. That's not to say I think a 17-year-old boy should now take his place, but I actually do think Ugo Ekitike should take his place. By the way, as soon as Alexander Isak, because at the moment my front three all fit and firing is Ekitike, Isak, and Salah. I think on balance, although I could change that from week to week. But I'm tempted to look at putting a bit more pace down one of the sides.
I think that's a fair shout. I think rather than necessarily saying
for an hour,
yeah. I think the thing with Gakpo at the moment is that we know that what he wants to do, and sometimes he's very, very good at it. But what it doesn't do is stretch the game. And when you're playing against a team who want to sit in and want to clog the centre of the pitch, you kind of need someone who wants to kind of, or at least thinks about going on the outside, threatens on the outside, and that's
not just dinks one to the far post every time, or looks for some space to look. When he can get shot away, happy days, because it is one hell of a weapon.
Yeah.
There's a part of me where he reminds me a little bit. This is one from way back now. Well, not way back, but 90s. Patrick Berger. Patrick Berger, I really loved as a footballer. But he had a traction engine of a left foot. I remember he scored a lot of goals in his first. I think he scored something, I don't know, like 5 in his first 6 games for Liverpool.
Yeah, he did.
And then everyone worked out, well, you just don't let Patrick Berger get onto his left foot ever. And he was nullified. Not entirely, but it made a big difference, to his games. And Cody, you saw the one he slots against Bournemouth on the first day of the season. That's Cody, You give him half a yard with that foot, it doesn't matter if it's 18, 20 yards. He's got a fair chance, and that's why he's in the team.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I'm not convinced about.
Well, I think there's still time. I think...
Yeah, there is. I mean, he could, yeah.
I do think the relationship with the wide forward and his fullback behind him is important as well, and I don't think that that's built yet. There were quite a few times yesterday on Sunday where Kirk has offered him an overlap and he didn't use it, or there were times when they both wanted to go into the same space and that relationship hasn't built up yet. So there's time, but I do think it's important to remember that all of these things are happening while Liverpool are still winning football games. So we've got the time and the space for them to actually develop. It's not at crisis point just yet.
Yeah, I mean, 4 wins is not on the spin. Is not to be sniffed at.
Not at all.
I think we achieved it once last season, maybe twice, but no other.
Twice.
Yeah, but no other team did it, did they? No other team went past the 3 mark.
No. Arsenal didn't even reach the 3 mark, by the way. I just wanted to point that out.
Did they not?
No.
Wow. I mean, Everton at Goodison at the Hill Dicko is going to be no picnic, but we're still strong favourites to win there.
I know the first one's at home.
Of course, what am I talking about?
Yeah. We've got 3 home games in 6 days starting tomorrow.
In my mind, we're going to theirs. Of course we are. I'm stupid. Well, that actually slightly changes my perspective as well on your argument about the derby being a bit much for Isak. I think at home it's slightly difficult, slightly different proposition than having 45, 50,000 baying blues and urging people into maniac tackle.
Yes. But I would also like to remind you of what happened between James Tarkowski and Alexis McAllister at Anfield last season.
True.
It makes it harder,
you're right,
but not impossible.
You're right. Well, okay, but back to the central point. We've got 4 wins on the board.
Yes,
there's a strong chance of adding a 5th with a home game against the Blues, hard game, and a week later, hard game away at Palace. So running, it'd be lovely to go to that Chelsea game with 6 on the board. I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, but still, it's those sort of things give you a real foundation for a season.
The other thing you've got to remember about the derby is that the day after the derby, Arsenal play Manchester City.
Yeah, I know.
So
Jesus Christ,
a win for Liverpool makes that game even more. I was going to say even more enjoyable, potentially enjoyable, because it might be.
It does. But one of the things I savour most about football match, Liverpool winning, is it's actually usually not that enjoyable experience until the final whistle blows. Sunday being a case in point. And I remember as the minutes ebbing away and it's 0-0, you think we're not going to win this. And I was looking forward to watching United City later in the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could sit back. You don't care that much. You care enough. Don't have to watch every second. It's a treat. Because I'm looking forward to City Arsenal, but if we don't beat the Blues,
it's going to be awful.
I just might not watch it. So you just get a bigger weekend out of it.
No, I absolutely know exactly what you mean. No, I 100%. And yeah, if there was any more incentive for Liverpool to go and win that derby, then there it is. We want to be able to actually watch and enjoy that game. And obviously there'll be ramifications in terms of who's in the table. I mean, to be fair, I should probably mention that Man United are also playing Chelsea, but I don't know. I'm not sure I hold that much hope for that.
I'll be rooting for Ruben Amorim's boys there. I'd like Chelsea put to bed. It was nice that they drew.
It was good.
It was their second draw, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, last season I thought people were sleeping on Chelsea a bit. At the beginning of the season, people go Chelsea a basket case, and then by end of November they were our closest rivals for a few weeks, and I was a bit annoyed and smug as well about that. I mean, Chelsea then went on to prove everybody else right by being a basket case of a team and going on a terrible run. Funnily enough, I feel almost reverse this season. I think there was a bit of hyping up about them. Old Chelsea, they're back. Well, because they won the bloody club
world champions.
And the Conference Leagues, for God's sake. I'm not writing them off by any stretch, but I look around that squad and I think they sort of made changes for the sake of it to a degree. Yeah, Pedro's a good player, but so was Nicola Jackson was a half decent player with some potential to him. They brought in Garnacho, who United didn't want. I mean, go figure. I don't quite get that. Somebody's very stupid there. I can't work out who.
Well, I guess we'll find out who's very stupid there. I mean, to be fair, his involvement might be the only thing that makes me interested in that Man United-Chelsea game at the weekend. But before then, we have Champions League football. I'm very excited about the return of Champions League football. Match day 1 is one of my favourite days of the whole year.
Is it?
Yeah. Because everything's possible. Everything's possible.
My first day of the league season's always that. Well, actually, it used to be when I didn't think we were going to win the league, because when you don't know how you're going to do, let's call it our wilderness 30 years from 91 through to 2018, say.
Yeah.
First day of the season, if you win, you go, you never know.
Yeah.
I think Tottenham think this way every year, by the way. Champions League first day, it's an interesting one. I think it's just got a glamour. It's lovely to be at Anfield, all the cliches under the lights and things like that. You know, last season you'd go in because of the eight games. It does take a little bit out of it in terms of the pressure.
Changes things. Yeah.
It changes, but at the same time the names are that bit more glamorous. So, like, I wasn't particularly hyped up going to play Real Madrid last season. But then when we put on that show we did against them, you go, oh, this is important. You start going, Liverpool, maybe the best team in Europe.
How much of that not being excited was because of the results against them in previous seasons? I think?
Oh, yeah, that led into it. It just wasn't, there was nothing make or break about it, you know? So you don't anticipate it. But I think it's the way we played that night. The fact we so comprehensively beat them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Atletico. I don't think I've ever seen us play well against Atletico and Madrid. So any kind of win would do us. I'm not going to. Nobody should be too despondent by a draw. But the only thing about a draw, I would say, even though it's no disgrace against Atletico, I think it might just tiny bit affect confidence because it'll feed into a narrative that Liverpool are just getting by, and now look, they couldn't just get by this time, or even a defeat.
Well, I've got some good news for you, Rob. Rumours are that Julian Alvarez is not going to be travelling with Atletico Madrid because he came off in the game against Villarreal the weekend with a knee complaint. He was touch and go.
Don't take a chance with them.
This has not. No, this hasn't been confirmed as yet. But there are a lot
of other injuries, aren't there, in that squad? One or two names.
Yeah, there are a couple of others who potentially might not travel, but he's obviously the main headline guy, the one who Liverpool were. Well, a lot of Liverpool fans were kind of sniffing around, let's say, before the Isak.
You saw the story that came out recently about Luis Diaz. I mean, I think that seems almost. I think a number of very credible journalists said that was a thing, that City approached Liverpool for Luis Diaz, and Liverpool went, "Fine, we'll have Julian Alvarez," and City backed down at that point.
Yeah.
So Liverpool's interest in Julian Alvarez is long-standing. I do wonder, to digress onto transfers, is that in a world where you've bought Ugo Ekitike and Isak, assuming they work out as signings, is there a world where you could still buy Alvarez? He doesn't play wide, really, does he?
I don't think so.
I mean, he doesn't replace a retired Mo Salah in 18 months.
No, I think you need to throw the fact that Florian Wirtz is in there as well. And
yeah, you do. Yeah.
Those positions, those areas are pretty much covered. So yeah, it would take something drastic, I think, to be able to bring in the Julian Alvarez. I think, like you say, the next one of the attack that needs replacing will be Mo Salah, and I would not be expected to see Alvarez playing on the right wing or any of the other guys who we've currently got, to be honest.
Enter Michael Elise at some point in the future. Let's see.
But anyway, you have to subtly turn this into a goal.
Had to make it a transfer show, Rob. Every time.
You can't help yourself.
Just as I'm out, they drag me back in.
So I wanted to take a little bit of a wider view of the Champions League because, as I said, I'm excited about it. It's that time of year. I want to look at some of the runners and riders. Some of them are your obvious ones. PSG, obviously, current holders. They're going to be tough to beat, but they've got some tasty fixtures.
Who've they got? Remind me.
So they've got Barcelona, they've got Bayern Munich,
nice.
They've also got Athletic Club, they've got Leverkusen, They've got Sporting, who are, and I believe they've got Atalanta as well. So teams that on the face of it they should beat, but who could give them a tasty game if they're not at their best. I think they're open against Atalanta. Sounds like Kvaratskhelia is not going to make it because he's injured. I'm not sure if Desiree Doué's back or Dembele's back, so they might be without 3 of their big 4 attackers going into that game. So we saw what happened to them last season where they struggled early on and just about made it, scraped their way into the knockout phase. So they could be set up to do the same again.
The problem is, I've seen it as long as I can remember. These teams like a PSG, a Real Madrid, even a Bayern Munich that play in leagues that just aren't as competitive. They've only got 1 or 2 main rivals for the title, if that. You often see them. Well, Bayern Munich don't look very good this season, or Real Madrid look quite weak this season, and then by January, February, they gain a bit of steam, a bit of momentum when the serious bit of the Champions League comes round.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? And
we're just enjoying a bit of white noise here. It's just the background music we're playing with in the moment.
That's the Bayern
Hopefully
Munich.
it doesn't pick up on our mics.
That's the PSG aren't that good alarm. Someone's saying, wait, this is a hot take that may come back and bite you in the ass.
It's gone, I was enjoying it.
No, but you're right. And I think Real Madrid are the key. They are the archetype of that.
Yeah.
Of, like you say, struggling their way through. Although we have to acknowledge the fact that it's easier to struggle your way through when you're in a 4-team group where it's like, okay, we win our home games and 1 away, then we should be okay. We can afford to wear a couple of bad results. This time round, it might be a little bit more difficult. But
it's really hard to say with the Swiss system. I think we're going to need like 10 years worth of data before we can draw a bloody graph on this. With Liverpool got utterly stitched by it. I know if we'd got past PSG, we might go, oh, that's not so bad. We'd have got Villa or something, wouldn't we, in the next round?
Yes.
So, but we did get stitched by it. We literally got to play the best team in Europe, having finished top of an 8-team group.
But by the same rationale as Neil has pointed out on many occasions, the teams who finished 2nd, 3rd and 4th all progressed to the semi-finals. So there is some merit of being at around the top of the league. You can't legislate for a team who's going to struggle their way into
2nd, 3rd and 4th got to the semi.
Yeah, Barcelona, Inter and Arsenal.
Yeah, they did. Fair. I mean, it doesn't prove things either way because... But,
none of them won it.
Yeah. So, but it just, as I said, give me 10 years worth of data, even then, it's really hard to work out.
So if you're looking, obviously, Real Madrid, Barcelona and PSG, I would throw in Bayern Munich as well because they do look a little bit stronger this season than they have done previously. And as you say, I think they're in a position where they can really go at the Champions League because they won't be as stretched. There are some good German teams, but they seem to have already got a decent lead on most of them. So I don't think they'll be stretched.
I just wonder if they've got the quality they had in recent years. I mean, Musiala's going to be out for the season, isn't he? So what have they got? They've still got Harry knocking about. They've brought our boy in, and they've got Elise.
Yes.
So it's decent, but the rest of it feels like it's been around for a while and getting more jaded.
Yeah.
Goretzka's and
Serge Gnabry, I thought he was going to leave and ended up staying.
Every year. Yeah. Because I get, Serge Gnabry, is he available?
Yeah.
Him and Kingsley Coman every year.
Yeah. Well, Kingsley Coman has left.
Yeah.
Leroy Sané has left.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gnabry's he's still knocking around. So they've got quality. I think it might depend a little bit on the draw for them. Although last time round, I think they finished in the 8th or 16th. I wouldn't be surprised if they're top 8 this time round. The interesting one for me, as always, is the Italian teams. Because Inter have got their toughest 2 games at home against Liverpool and Arsenal. But then they've got like Dortmund and Atletico away. So I don't think they'll be top 8. But yeah, they are. Weird. They are very weird. To be honest, the Italian teams, the ones to watch out for, I think, are Juve and Napoli. I think.
Do you?
Yeah, so I watched Inter against Juve at the weekend, which was an absolute banger.
What's the score?
4-3 to Juve.
Okay.
It was fantastic.
Not very Italian.
Well, no, this was, and there were lots of long range smashes as well. So yeah, it was. I mean, I feel like
who's Juve's star? Give me their best 3 players this year.
Kenan Yildiz, definitely.
Is he Turkish?
He is Turkish. Yeah, he's definitely one to watch in the Champions League so far this season, I would say. Who else is their stars? It's difficult.
They got rid of Vlahovic, have they? Or
no, Vlahovic is still knocking around.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's. I don't know.
Did you get Kolo Muani went to Spurs in the end?
Yeah, they didn't. It didn't really. I don't really think he stuck. Kefren Turam, a name that we all remember from.
Is he doing well there?
He is doing well. He scored in that game.
Right.
Him and his brother scored in that game, which was quite
Lillian.
Yes. No, Lillian's his dad.
No.
His dad was on the sidelines. His brother's Marcus, who plays for
That's
Inter. But he's, I think, really kind of coming into his own in that Juve midfield as well. So he's another.
Are they top of the table there?
They are joint top, I believe. I think them and Napoli both won all their games so far. And then obviously Napoli, we know who they've got. They've just been robbing Manchester for all of their best duels.
Now, the interesting thing is the betting for the Champions League. I checked, was it the last week ago? Had Liverpool moved favourites? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Or, I think in the Opta ratings, were we favourites? I think Arsenal might be second, but, well, yeah. I know
which kind of ruins the whole point, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Opta. I mean, the Opta thing is based on looking at the way the draw works and all those sort of factors. It's not just going who's the best team, but so Liverpool. We go into this. We attack this competition as favourites for it. I think Europe is looking. And you know when it flipped? When we signed Alexander Isak. We went back to being favourites for the title, back to being favourites for this competition. I can't remember any time in my lifetime, really, well, post-1990s lifetime, where Liverpool would be favourites for both of those at the beginning of the season.
No, and that is interesting, particularly because I think when the draw came out, a lot of people were nervous about how tough it looks. But obviously the Opta supercomputer, as we know, it doesn't deal in kind of bias or favouritism, it just deals in hard facts, and they believe that Liverpool have got the best chance out of everyone to win it, so you can't really argue with that.
I think with the Swiss system, maybe this is a bit too much of a generalisation though, I thought we had a tough draw last year. We won virtually every single bloody game. Looks tough this year, but then you read up PSG's and you go, oh, that's quite tough. The thing is, you get two tough teams from the top tier pot. You never used to get that. So it looks like, what, we've got Bayern Munich and Barcelona this year. That never used to happen. You only got them once. Maybe once is at home. It looks tougher.
Yes. I think the fact that Liverpool have got Real Madrid at home again is massive. I think... Obviously, there are some tough away grounds to go to. Galatasaray, Frankfurt, Inter, Marseille. In fact, all four of them, you'd say, could be challenging. But I do think Liverpool have got it in hands to be able to go and deal with those situations. The one that if it had been Real Madrid away, that one would have been the only one where I'm like, oh, I'll take whatever we can get out of that result. Whereas all of the others now.
PSV's at home, isn't it?
PSV's at home.
See, I looked in the last one of the last three, isn't it? I think last three.
Fifth game, I believe.
Is it game 5? Okay. I saw, and this might be a dangerous thing to say, but I look at those PSV and Qarabag game. Qarabag's the last.
Yes.
And go, although it means because Qarabag comes last, we're unlikely to have a we do to get a dead rubber out of the situation. You can sort of semi-bank those two. You know, of the 15, 16 points you need to finish top 8, you can go, we've got those in hand. You know, if we need to put foot to the grindstone, we've got those. That's 6. So go and get 10 from the other 6 games. That's how I'm sort of looking at it. That's the challenge, really. Obviously, you get to PSV and have a stinker and you draw, and then you're up against it, and then, I don't know, 8 into Milan away or wherever. It won't be that, but that's how I'm looking at 10 from those key 6, of which 4 are away.
Which is why I think, again, going back to the beginning, is why I think it's so important to win and to start off with a home win against a good side, because it really does kind of, if you don't get a result in the first game, you're on the back foot straight away. And like you say, Galatasaray, we talk about them as being one of the lesser teams, but if you look at the talent that they've got, they've quietly amassed. They've got some good players. The aforementioned Leroy Sané, Victor Osimhen is another one who plays for Galatasaray. Yeah. They've got some great players. So it's not going to be easy.
That's the thing about our draw. Whether you decide that as a collective of teams it's a hard draw or not, what's definitely hard is the way the fixtures have fallen for us. Because Atletico is the second hardest game, arguably, even though it's at Anfield in the entire thing. We've got Atletico, Galatasaray,
Frankfurt
at Anfield. No,
Frankfurt. Yeah.
2 away on the trot.
Yes.
So well, there you go, and then Madrid.
So yeah,
it's a terrible opening.
Home, away, home, away, home.
But the first 4, 2 Madrid teams at home in the first 4, and Galatasaray and Frankfurt away. That's a really tough fall. There's a universe where you can play reasonably and not win any. You know, and then you'd be up against it. So you are right about it. Would be a big breathe out moment if we can beat Atletico.
I think it would be, and I think we will. So that's good news to end this section on. It's time for us to talk about the grinding gears. I believe it's my turn this week.
Go on.
So this is just
I have no preview of what's grinding your gears.
No,
I'm very excited.
And it's something that I only saw this morning. So it's something that it really just kind of is fresh in my mind. We see all the time on social media in particular criticism of players. It's just a part of football. You can't get away from it, and you wouldn't want to say players cannot be criticised. I'm not saying that. The thing that annoys me is when people feel like they need to go to over extremes. Like I'm not going to name the person, or I'm not going to name the player, but just people talking about how someone is disgusting, horrible, a criminal, a fraud, get this person out of my club, all that kind of rhetoric. Like, there really is no need for it. Like, genuinely take a breath and realize that this is not that important. You don't need to put that much energy and effort and life into hating someone who is doing something for the club that you apparently support. I cannot get my head around the reasons why people go so extremes. You can just say he's not playing well. I'd rather he wasn't in the team. That's it. You don't have to go any further than that. I mean, we have to remember, and I've said this before this season, and I'm going to keep saying it, these players are humans. These players are still in the midst of grief off the back of a horrible, traumatic event that happens to all of them and to all of us this summer. And I'd like us all to really keep that in mind when we are discussing / criticising them.
It's, you know what, I mean, obviously you're talking about social media and these sort of comments happening on social media. I think in the pre-social media age, I've never been in a football ground where anyone wouldn't have gone misplaced a pass going, he is fucking shit. He's a criminal for that. Those kind of comments would happen be a ripple around conversations in the stands. Players wouldn't hear that. They'd sense discontent if they weren't playing well as a team or as individuals, but they wouldn't hear that vitriolic. Yes, they might get the odd one. Don't get me wrong, that's definitely happened. Worse things than that, racism and horrible things happen. But what they didn't get to do is change, shower, go home, meet the family, open their phone and go, you're the worst human being in the world, over and over again.
Yes.
I just wish we could fast forward to the place where people could make themselves more immune from it. I mean, I joke with you about, I don't look at the comments. It's a good fucking reason, because there's always going to be some horrible person there who's just going to find anything to be horrible about. And I mean, you've seen things. I mean, Salah was saying he gives advice to young players. Don't go on social media.
Yeah.
You kind of, I'm not saying they have themselves to blame, because that's not really fair to say that. But there are, on most timelines, there's like equivalents on things like X or wherever, that's what you're following, and then for you. I mean, this is getting bloody broad, but don't go on the for you crap.
No. I try not to. And the only time
I'm addressing it to young footballers everywhere here.
The only time I ever go or see most of this extreme stuff is when someone who I do follow has decided to engage with it. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Now I get the
young footballers should avoid it.
I get the idea of that, but I also think that there's an argument to say that just by making sure. But the whole if you don't like it, don't go on their thing.
No, that's not
going to stop people doing it. And yes, you can say there's always going to be someone who wants to be this and wants to be that. Well, maybe they shouldn't. Maybe just because there's thousands of them out there doesn't mean to say we should stop trying to stop them from doing it.
Oh no, you're totally right. I mean, and people need to obviously get sane and breathe in and go. Just because you're upset in that moment about, because I do think a lot of these things, as people in grounds, God, I've done it myself. It stopped as I go older. You go, you're fucking shit or something. Everybody's done that, but I wouldn't do it on a tweet, although someone will probably find one where I did say he's fucking shit. He should be get out of our club. I mean, that's the only payback. Is for anyone who's done that, is that someone can always scroll. Remember when you said Florian Wirtz was shit? Well, here he is, our player of the year.
But this is the thing, isn't it? And the point you make is a really good one. The difference between shouting these things out into the ether, you can kind of release that frustration, and it will go out there, and it won't cause any other kind of further repercussions. Everything that you put onto your phone is there. It's a kind of a permanent record, whether you delete it or not, because there's always someone that can go in there and find it afterwards. So I would recommend to everybody, really think hard about what you're about to say. And that includes all of you in the comments to this video who might be about to be saying something about
Have we just
my opinion.
invited the biggest pile on?
Maybe.
Of all time? Good job, as we all never know.
Well,
Well, I
never
won't.
No, I do kind of.
Oh, don't tell me.
Yeah, I won't tell you. Don't. It's fine. But that's it. I've said my piece.
Well, I like it. It's a big one, Mo. That was a big, heavy one.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say something like wasps or rude people. Well, I suppose
I mean, it's a long season, mate. We've got plenty of time for that. No, it's not wasp season, thankfully.
no, thank God they've gone.
One of the good things about
Where do they go?
I'm assuming
They're not like birds and they go to a hot country. They can't go that far. Where do the wasps? Or do they just spontaneously combust at the end of summer?
well, they've got their nests, haven't they?
Oh, they've got their nest, man. That's what they do.
Just
They
chilling-
go in
they
the
just-
nest.
They just chill in the house.
that's what that
They
is.
have the wasp version of Netflix. They just all sit in and watch
wasp nests.
Yeah.
Hence the term wasp's nest.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a wasp's nest. Yeah, it's a metaphor.
See, you didn't think you were going to learn about nature
Tell you
on the
what.
show, did you? But that does tell me
Wow.
that we should probably wrap things up right about now. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for picking my brain as always, Rob.
No worries.
I will see you next time.